r/TrueOffMyChest mom destroyed our shared car, so I gave away her beloved dog. The sound of shattering glass is what woke me up at 6 a.m., followed by what I can only describe as the most unhinged screaming I've ever heard in my life. You lying piece of shit. How could you do this to me? I bolted upright, heart hammering, trying to figure out if we were being robbed or if my mom had finally lost her damn mind. The screaming was definitely coming from outside, and it was definitely my mother's voice, so I stumbled to my bedroom window and peered through the blinds. What I saw made my stomach drop straight through the floor. My car, our car, the 2018 Honda Civic that I'd saved for 8 months to help buy, working double shifts at the diner while juggling my sophomore year at community college, was absolutely destroyed. And I mean destroyed. All 4 tires were slashed and flat, both side windows were smashed in, the windshield had a spider web of cracks running across it, and across the hood, in massive red spray paint letters, someone had written, "Liar." My mom stood in the driveway in her bathrobe, holding a baseball bat and what looked like an empty spray paint can, breathing hard like she'd just run a marathon. Her usually perfect blonde hair was wild and there was red paint on her hands. "Wake up, Jamie. Get out here right now." My legs felt like jelly as I threw on clothes and stumbled downstairs. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of nightmare. My mom was dramatic, sure, but she wasn't violent. She didn't destroy property. She was the type who passive-aggressively reorganized your room when she was mad, not whatever this was. I opened the front door and stepped onto the porch, and she whirled around to face me with this look of pure rage I'd never seen before. 8 months, she said, her voice deadly quiet now, which was somehow worse than the screaming. 8 months you've been lying to my face. My mouth went dry. Mom, what are you? Don't. She pointed the bat at me. Don't you dare try to lie to me again. Mrs. Henderson called me last night. She saw you at the movies with that boy. That Martinez boy from the south side. Oh. Oh shit. Marcus. She'd found out about Marcus. Mom, I can explain. Explain. She laughed, but it wasn't a normal laugh. It was the kind of laugh you hear in horror movies right before someone gets murdered. Explain how you've been sneaking around with some gang member behind my back. How you've been using my car to go see him. He's not a gang member. He's pre-med at state, he's Mexican, Jamie. From that neighborhood. Do you have any idea what people are going to think? What they're going to say about our family? And there it was. The real reason. Not safety, not genuine concern for my well-being, but what the neighbors would think. What her book club friends would whisper about. Her precious reputation. I stared at the wreckage of our car, my car, that I'd worked so hard for, that was supposed to be my ticket to independence, and felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. You destroyed our car, I said slowly. I have work tomorrow. I have school. How am I supposed to? Should have thought of that before you decided to embarrass me, she snapped. Maybe now you'll think twice about your choices. That's when I knew she crossed a line we could never uncross. I stood there staring at her, feeling like I was seeing a complete stranger wearing my mother's face. The woman who used to make me hot chocolate when I couldn't sleep, who helped me with my algebra homework sophomore year of high school, who cried happy tears when I got accepted to community college, that woman was gone. In her place was someone I didn't recognize, someone capable of destroying thousands of dollars worth of property because her daughter dared to date someone she deemed inappropriate. This is insane, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Mom, this is actually insane. Do you realize what you've done? I've done what I had to do to protect this family's reputation, she said, straightening her shoulders like she was proud of herself. And to teach you that actions have consequences. Consequences? My voice cracked. I'm going to lose my job. I can't get to work without a car, I can't get to school, I can't. The reality of it was starting to hit me. The car wasn't just transportation, it was my lifeline. Without it, everything I'd been working toward would collapse. Then I guess you'll have to choose what's more important, she said coldly. That boy, or your future. That's when I heard it, a familiar whimpering from inside the house. Princess, my mom's 8-year-old King Charles Spaniel, was scratching at the front door. The dog she'd spent more money on than most people spend on their kids. Designer food, monthly grooming appointments, a literal diamond collar she'd special ordered from some boutique in the city. Princess went everywhere with her, to the grocery store, to her book club meetings, even on vacation. Mom loved that dog more than she'd ever loved me, and we both knew it. Get inside, she ordered, turning toward the house. We're going to call your work and school and tell them you're sick while we figure this out. Figure what out? I followed her, my mind reeling. The car is totaled, Mom. Completely totaled. Do you have any idea how much it's going to cost to fix all this damage? If it's even fixable. She waved a dismissive hand. Insurance will cover it. Insurance doesn't cover intentional damage by the owner. I couldn't believe how clueless she was being. This is going to come out of our pockets. All of it. And I don't have thousands of dollars lying around, do you? For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. She hadn't thought this through. She'd been so consumed with rage and the need to punish me that she hadn't considered the practical aftermath. Princess trotted over to me, tail wagging, completely oblivious to the chaos around her. I scratched behind her ears absently, and she leaned into my hand the way she always did. Sweet, innocent princess, who had no idea her beloved mommy was a complete psychopath. We'll figure it out, Mom said, but her voice had lost some of its conviction. The important thing is that you end this ridiculous relationship immediately. Call him right now and tell him it's over. I looked at her, then at the dog, then back at her. An idea was forming in my mind. A terrible, perfect idea. No, I said quietly. Excuse me. I said no. I'm not calling Marcus, and I'm not ending anything. You want to teach me about consequences? Fine. But consequences go both ways, Mom. And you're about to learn that the hard way. The look of shock on her face was almost worth it. Almost. I spent the rest of that morning sitting on my bed, staring at my phone while Princess curled up next to me. Mom had stormed off to her room, slamming the door so hard it rattled the picture frames in the hallway. Every few minutes I could hear her pacing around, muttering to herself, probably trying to figure out how to spin this disaster into somehow being my fault. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Marcus asking if I was okay, if we were still on for lunch. I hadn't told him what happened yet because honestly, what was I supposed to say? Hey babe, my mom found out about us and destroyed our car with a baseball bat like some kind of suburban psychopath. But the longer I sat there, the angrier I got. Not just angry, furious. 8 months of saving every tip, every spare dollar from my paychecks. 8 months of eating ramen and skipping movies with friends so I could contribute to that car fund. I'd been so proud when we finally bought it, felt so adult and responsible. It was supposed to be my independence, my way out of this suffocating house and into my own life. And she destroyed it in what, 20 minutes? Because God forbid her precious reputation take a hit. Around noon, I heard her bedroom door open and her footsteps heading downstairs. I could hear her on the phone in the kitchen, her voice taking on that fake sweet tone she used when she was trying to manipulate someone. Yes, hi, this is Carol Manning. I need to file a claim. Well, it was vandalism. No, we don't know who did it. Yes, it happened overnight. The fucking audacity. She was actually trying to commit insurance fraud, lying to cover her own ass. I crept to the top of the stairs to listen better. Such a shame, you know how these neighborhoods are getting. Random acts of violence. Yes, we'll need a police report. A police report. She was going to file a false police report and blame some imaginary vandal for what she did. I felt sick. This woman raised me. This woman used to read me bedtime stories and pack little notes in my school lunches. When had she become such a complete stranger? Princess followed me downstairs, her nails clicking on the hardwood. Mom was still on the phone, pacing around the kitchen island, gesturing wildly even though the person on the other end couldn't see her. No, my daughter was home all night, she didn't see anything. Yes, very traumatic for both of us. I cleared my throat, and she spun around, her face going pale when she saw me standing there. I'll call you back, she said quickly, hanging up. Jamie, sweetie, I was just filing a false police report. I crossed my arms. Committing insurance fraud. What exactly were you just doing, Mom? I'm trying to fix this. Her voice cracked slightly. I made a mistake, okay? I was angry and I wasn't thinking clearly. But I can make this right. By lying to the police. By committing a felony. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Do you realize how insane this has gotten? Don't call me insane. The mask slipped again, that rage flashing back across her face. I did what any mother would do to protect her child from making a huge mistake. Protect me. I laughed bitterly. You destroyed the thing I worked hardest for because you're embarrassed by who I'm dating. That's not protection, that's control. Princess whined softly, sensing the tension. She looked back and forth between us, confused by the shouting. Mom immediately reached down to scoop her up, burying her face in the dog's fur. Mommy's sorry, Princess, she cooed. Mommy didn't mean to scare you. And that's when it crystallized for me. Watching her comfort that dog while completely dismissing my pain, my future, my feelings. The car wasn't just metal and glass, it represented everything I'd worked for, everything I wanted to become. And she'd smashed it to pieces without a second thought. But Princess was her whole world. Time for her to learn what loss felt like. I waited until Mom went upstairs for her afternoon nap, a ritual she'd maintained religiously since I was little. She always took Princess with her, but today the dog seemed restless, padding back downstairs to find me instead. Maybe she could sense the chaos in the house. Hey girl, I whispered, scratching under her chin. Princess tilted her head at me with those big brown eyes, completely trusting. My stomach twisted with guilt, but I pushed it down. Mom had made her choice. Now I was making mine. I'd been scrolling through Facebook for the past hour, looking at local family groups and pet rehoming pages. There was one post that kept catching my attention, a family with 2 young kids whose elderly dog had just passed away. The mom had posted about how heartbroken her children were, how they'd grown up with their golden retriever and the house felt empty without paw prints on the floor. They looked like good people. The kind who'd spoil a sweet dog like Princess, give her the love she deserved without all the crazy drama. I took a deep breath and clicked message. *hi. I saw your post about losing your family dog. I'm so sorry for your loss. I have a King Charles Spaniel who needs rehoming due to a family crisis. She's 8 years old, fully vaccinated, amazing with kids. Would you be interested in meeting her? The response came back within 10 minutes. Oh my goodness, yes. We've been looking at King Charles Spaniels actually. They're supposed to be wonderful family dogs. When could we meet? My heart was pounding as I typed back. Would today work? I know it's short notice, but the situation is urgent. Absolutely. We're free this afternoon. Should we meet at a park? I glanced toward the stairs, listening for any movement from Mom's room. Still quiet. Actually, would you be able to come by around 4? My mom will be out and I can introduce you to Princess properly. It wasn't technically a lie. Mom had mentioned something about running errands later, probably to get estimates on the car damage she'd caused. She always left Princess home during errands because she claimed the dog got carsick, though I suspected it was really because she didn't want to leave her in a hot car while she gossiped with whoever would listen about her difficult daughter. Perfect. We'll see you at 4. The kids are already so excited. I stared at the message thread, my finger hovering over the keyboard. This was it. Once I sent our address, there was no going back. Mom would never forgive me for this. Hell, I wasn't sure I'd ever forgive myself. But then I looked out the kitchen window at our destroyed car, at the red spray paint gleaming in the afternoon sun like fresh blood, and my resolve hardened. She'd taken away my independence, my job, my future, all to teach me a lesson about consequences. Fine. Time for her to learn about consequences too. I typed out our address and hit send. The next 2 hours crawled by like torture. I kept checking the clock, jumping at every sound from upstairs. Around 3:30, I heard Mom moving around, the shower turning on. My phone buzzed with a text from the family saying they were on their way, and I felt like I might throw up. Princess seemed to sense something was happening. She kept following me around the house, looking up at me with those trusting eyes. I found her favorite toy, a little stuffed duck that was falling apart from years of love, and her special blanket. If I was going to do this, at least I could make sure she had familiar things with her. Don't hate me for this, I whispered to her, and she just wagged her tail. At 3:45, Mom came downstairs dressed in her running errands outfit, designer jeans and a blouse that probably cost more than I made in a week. I'm going to get estimates on the car, she announced, not quite meeting my eyes. We'll talk about your attitude when I get back. My attitude. Like I was the problem here. Sure, Mom. Take your time. She grabbed her purse and keys, then paused at the door. Princess, come say goodbye to Mommy. The dog trotted over, tail wagging, and Mom scooped her up for a long hug. Be good while Mommy's gone, okay baby? Jamie will take care of you. If only she knew how right she was. The door had barely clicked shut behind Mom when I heard the car pulling into our driveway. My heart hammered against my ribs as I peeked through the living room curtains. A blue minivan sat where our destroyed Civic usually parked, and I could see 2 kids pressed against the windows, practically vibrating with excitement. This was really happening. Princess perked up at the sound of car doors slamming, her ears alert. She loved meeting new people, always had. Mom used to joke that she was the world's worst guard dog because she'd probably help burglars carry out the TV if they gave her belly rubs. The doorbell rang, and Princess started her happy barking, not aggressive, just excited. I took a shaky breath and opened the door. Hi. You must be Jamie, the woman said with a warm smile. She looked exactly like her Facebook photos, mid-30s, kind face, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that had seen better days. Behind her stood a man who was obviously her husband and 2 kids, maybe 8 and 10 years old, both practically bouncing on their toes. That's me, I managed, stepping aside to let them in. And this is Princess. The reaction was immediate. Both kids dropped to their knees as Princess trotted over, tail going a mile a minute. She was in absolute heaven with all the attention, rolling over to show her belly while the kids giggled and cooed over her. Oh my god, she's perfect, the mom, Sarah, I remembered from our messages, breathed. Look how good she is with them already. She loves kids, I said, which was true. Mom used to take her to the park sometimes just to let children pet her. She's really gentle, never bites or anything. Mom, can we keep her? Please please please, the younger kid, a girl with pigtails, looked up with pleading eyes while Princess licked her face. Let's talk to Jamie first, sweetheart, Sarah's husband said gently. He turned to me with a concerned expression. You mentioned a family crisis. I hope everything's okay. My throat tightened. God, they seemed like such good people. The kind of family Princess deserved. It's complicated. My mom and I are having some issues, and I can't take care of Princess the way she deserves right now. It wasn't technically a lie. We were definitely having issues, and after today, I probably wouldn't be living here much longer anyway. Has she been around other pets? Sarah asked, watching as Princess played with the kids. We're thinking of maybe getting a cat eventually. She's fine with other animals. Really adaptable. I knelt down and scratched Princess behind the ears. She looked up at me with pure trust and love, and guilt twisted in my stomach like a knife. She just wants to be loved. Well, she'd definitely get plenty of that here, Sarah laughed as her son buried his face in Princess's fur. The kids have been heartbroken since we lost Buddy. This feels like... I don't know, like it was meant to be. That's when I heard it, the distant sound of Mom's car turning into our street. My blood turned to ice. She wasn't supposed to be back for at least an hour. She must have finished getting estimates faster than expected, or maybe she'd gotten suspicious and decided to come back early. Actually, I said quickly, trying to keep the panic out of my voice, would it be possible for you to take her today? I know it's sudden, but the situation is kind of urgent. Sarah and her husband exchanged a look. We didn't bring a car seat or anything, she said slowly. We were planning to pick her up this weekend once we got supplies. The engine sound was getting closer. Any second now, Mom would round the corner and see the minivan in our driveway. She'd come storming in here demanding to know what was happening, and this whole plan would fall apart. I have her carry her upstairs, I lied frantically. And all her stuff. Please, I really need her to go to a good home today. The desperation in my voice must have convinced them because Sarah nodded slowly. Okay. If you're sure this is what you need to do. I'm sure. The words felt like glass coming out of my mouth. But as I heard Mom's car pull into the driveway, I realized I might have made a terrible miscalculation. The sound of Mom's car door slamming made my heart stop completely. Through the living room window, I could see her standing in the driveway, staring at the unfamiliar minivan with obvious confusion and growing suspicion. Is everything okay? Sarah asked, noticing my sudden panic. That's my mom, I whispered, watching as Mom started walking toward the house with quick, angry steps. She's not supposed to be back yet. The front door was still open from when I'd let the family in, and I could hear Mom's heels clicking rapidly up the walkway. Princess was still playing with the kids, completely oblivious to the disaster about to unfold. Jamie. Mom's voice rang out before she even reached the door. Whose car is that? What's going on? Sarah and her husband stood up quickly, sensing the tension. The kids kept playing with Princess, but I saw the adults exchange worried glances. Mom appeared in the doorway and froze, taking in the scene, 2 strange adults in her living room, children she'd never seen before sitting on her pristine white carpet with her precious dog. What the hell is this? Her voice was dangerously quiet. Mrs. Manning. Sarah stepped forward with a nervous smile, clearly trying to defuse the situation. I'm Sarah Chen. We spoke with your daughter about possibly adopting Princess. The color drained from Mom's face, then flooded back in an angry red rush. Adopting? She looked between Sarah and me, her eyes wide with disbelief. Adopting? Mom, let me explain. Get out. She pointed at the family, her hand shaking with rage. All of you, get out of my house right now. The kids scrambled to their feet, clearly frightened by her tone. Princess whined, picking up on the sudden shift in energy. Sarah quickly moved to shield her children. We're so sorry, Sarah said, backing toward the door. We didn't realize there was a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Mom snarled. My daughter is having some kind of breakdown and apparently thinks she can give away MY dog without MY permission. Actually, I said, my voice stronger than I felt, Princess is registered to both of us. I have just as much legal right. Legal right? Mom whirled on me, her face twisted with fury. I bought that dog. I've fed her and cared for her for 8 years while you've been off playing college student. The Chens were almost to the door now, the husband gently guiding his family away from the chaos. But the little girl turned back, reaching out toward Princess. What about the puppy? She asked tearfully. Can we still? No. Mom snapped. The dog is not available. There was a mistake. Sarah shot me an apologetic look. We should go. I'm sorry this didn't work out. Wait. I called after them, desperation making my voice crack. But they were already hurrying down the walkway, the kids looking back sadly at Princess, who had started barking at the door. Mom slammed it shut behind them and turned on me with a look of pure hatred. You tried to give away my dog, she said slowly, like she couldn't quite believe it. You actually tried to give away Princess. You destroyed our car, I shot back. You ruined everything I worked for because you're embarrassed by who I'm dating. That car was replaceable. Princess is family. And what am I? The words exploded out of me. What does that make me, Mom? Because you sure as hell didn't treat me like family when you took a baseball bat to my future. She stared at me for a long moment, Princess whining anxiously between us. Then her expression shifted into something cold and calculating. Pack your bags, she said quietly. What? You heard me. Pack your bags and get out of my house. If you want to act like an adult, go be an adult somewhere else. The bottom dropped out of my world. She was kicking me out. Actually kicking me out. But as I looked at her standing there, clutching Princess protectively against her chest, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. This wasn't over. Not even close. I stood there staring at her, Princess whimpering in her arms, and felt something inside me snap completely. Fine, I said, my voice eerily calm. I'll pack my bags. But you should know, that family. They gave me their number. And Princess isn't microchipped to you exclusively, Mom. I checked. The lie rolled off my tongue so smoothly it surprised even me. But the flash of panic in her eyes was worth it. You're bluffing. Am I? I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my contacts, even though I hadn't actually saved the Chen's information. Sarah seemed really interested in giving Princess a loving home. Said their kids were heartbroken after losing their last dog. I bet they'd still be interested, especially if I explained the situation. You wouldn't dare. But her grip on Princess tightened. Try me. You want to play games about consequences? Let's play. I headed toward the stairs, then paused. Oh, and Mom. That insurance claim you're planning to file? I recorded your phone call. Amazing what smartphones can do these days. The color drained from her face. Jamie, you can't. Can't what? Turn in my own mother for insurance fraud. Watch me. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my heart hammering but my resolve stronger than ever. Behind me, I heard her frantically calling someone, probably her sister, Aunt Linda, the only person who ever took her side in family drama. I threw clothes into my old duffel bag, hands shaking with adrenaline. Where was I even going to go? Marcus lived in the dorms, I couldn't afford my own place on a waitress salary, and most of my friends were broke college students like me. But I'd figure it out. Anything was better than staying in this house with someone who could destroy everything I cared about in a fit of rage. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, asterisk still on for dinner. Haven't heard from you all day, asterisk. I stared at the message, reality crashing over me. How was I supposed to explain this? That my mother had literally destroyed our car because she found out about him. That I was now homeless because I tried to give away her dog in retaliation. It sounded insane even to me. Another text came through, this one from an unknown number, asterisk hi Jamie, this is Sarah Chen. We're still very interested in Princess if the situation changes. Our kids can't stop talking about her. Please let us know, asterisk. My stomach lurched. They'd actually given me their number. The lie I'd told Mom wasn't a lie anymore. From downstairs, I could hear her voice getting more frantic. Linda, you don't understand, she's completely lost her mind. She tried to give away Princess to strangers. No, I can't just let this go. I sat on my bed, staring at Sarah's message, Princess's adoption papers in my other hand. Mom was right about one thing, she had bought Princess originally. But when we'd moved to this house 3 years ago, she'd insisted on putting my name on the registration too. In case something happens to me, she'd said. I want to make sure Princess is taken care of. Funny how things came full circle. A new plan was forming in my mind, more calculated than my earlier desperation. I screenshotted Sarah's message and Mom's insurance call recording. Then I opened a new text to Marcus. Asterisk can't do dinner tonight. Family emergency. We'll explain later. Can you pick me up in an hour, asterisk? His response was immediate, asterisk of course. Everything okay, asterisk? It will be. I finished packing and made one more call, this one to the non-emergency police line. Hi, I need to report someone planning to file a false insurance claim. From downstairs, Mom's voice suddenly went quiet. She'd heard me talking. The war had officially begun. The silence from downstairs was deafening. No more frantic phone calls, no more pacing, just dead quiet that made my skin crawl. I could practically feel Mom's rage radiating through the floorboards. I finished giving the police operator the basic information, just enough to create a paper trail without fully throwing her under the bus yet. That was my insurance policy. As long as she had something to lose, maybe we could find some middle ground. But as I hung up, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate footsteps that made every hair on my arm stand up. Jamie. Her voice was different now. Too calm. Too controlled. We need to talk. I shoved the adoption papers into my back pocket and zipped up my duffel bag. Nothing to talk about, Mom. You made your position pretty clear. She appeared in my doorway, and I almost didn't recognize her. The wild, angry woman from this morning was gone, replaced by someone cold and calculating. She'd even fixed her hair and reapplied her lipstick. Sit down. I'm good standing, thanks. That wasn't a request. Her smile was razor sharp. See, I just got off the phone with my lawyer. You know, David Patterson from Mom's Country Club. He had some very interesting things to say about your little stunt today. My stomach dropped, but I kept my face neutral. Oh yeah? What's that? Attempted theft. That's what it's called when you try to give away someone else's property without permission. Even with your name on the registration, since you didn't purchase Princess, didn't pay for her food or vet bills, and don't have sole ownership, what you did today could be classified as theft. She was bluffing. She had to be. But doubt crept in anyway. And then there's the matter of that recording you think you have, she continued, stepping into my room like she owned it. Which, technically, she did. David says that in our state, recording someone without consent is illegal. Even if they're committing a crime. Funny how that works, isn't it? My mouth went dry. I hadn't thought about recording laws. Shit. But here's what's really interesting, Mom said, moving closer. I never actually filed a false claim. I just made some preliminary calls. Asked some questions. That's not fraud, sweetheart. That's research. She had me, and we both knew it. The smug satisfaction in her eyes made me want to punch something. So here's what's going to happen, she said, perching on my desk chair like we were having a casual chat. You're going to call that family and tell them there was a mistake. You're going to delete that recording and promise never to interfere with Princess again. And in return, I won't press charges. And the car. What about it? You still destroyed thousands of dollars worth of our property because you don't like my boyfriend. Her mask slipped for just a second, that rage flashing through. That boy is going to ruin your life, Jamie. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And when he does, don't come crying to me. His name is Marcus, I said through gritted teeth. And he's pre-med with a 3.8 GPA. But sure, he must be a thug because of where he's from. This isn't about race. Bullshit. This is entirely about race and you know it. She stood up abruptly, her composure cracking. Fine. You want to throw your life away for some boy? Go ahead. But you won't take my dog down with you. That's when I heard it, a car door slamming outside. I looked out my window and saw Marcus's beat-up Toyota in the driveway, right next to the wreckage of our Honda. He was early. And he was about to walk into a war zone. Perfect timing, Mom said, following my gaze. Now I get to meet the little prince who's caused all this trouble. She headed for the stairs, and my blood turned to ice. I'd seen what Mom was capable of when she was angry. The destroyed car was proof enough. But this was different. This was calculated cruelty. I grabbed my bag and raced after her, Princess barking at all the commotion. By the time I reached the living room, Mom was already opening the front door with that fake smile plastered on her face. You must be Marcus, she said in a voice dripping with false sweetness. I'm Carol, Jamie's mother. We need to have a little chat. Marcus stood on our doorstep looking absolutely confused, taking in Mom's fake smile, the destroyed car behind him, and my panicked face appearing over her shoulder. He was holding a small bouquet of gas station flowers, probably meant to cheer me up after my cryptic texts, and wearing his favorite button-down shirt. The one he saved for special occasions. My heart broke a little seeing how much effort he put in, not knowing he was walking into an ambush. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Manning, he said politely, offering that warm smile that had made me fall for him in the first place. Jamie's told me so much about you. I'm sure she has, Mom replied, her voice saccharine. Though apparently she's forgotten to mention you to me. For 8 months. The smile faltered on Marcus's face as he processed the obvious hostility beneath her words. His eyes flicked to me, then to the destroyed car, putting pieces together. Mom, don't, I warned, pushing past her. Marcus, we should go. Oh, but I insist he comes in, Mom said, stepping aside with exaggerated courtesy. Any friend of Jamie's is welcome in our home. Especially such a close friend. Marcus hesitated, clearly sensing the trap but too polite to just leave. Maybe we should talk outside. Nonsense. Please, come in. Mom's tone made it clear it wasn't really a request. I'd love to hear about your intentions with my daughter. I wanted to die. Actually dissolve into the floor and disappear forever. Mom, this is insane. You can't just. Can't what? Meet the boy my daughter has been sneaking around with. She gestured for Marcus to enter, and after a moment's hesitation, he stepped inside. Tell me, Marcus, what do you do? I'm a sophomore at State, he answered carefully, staying close to the door like he was ready to bolt. Pre-med track. How ambitious. And your family? What do they do? The way she said it, like she was conducting an interrogation instead of making conversation, made my skin crawl. Marcus's jaw tightened slightly, recognizing the loaded nature of the question. My mom's a nurse at General Hospital. My dad works construction. Construction. How, honest. The pause before honest was deliberate, designed to sting. And you live where exactly? Mom, stop this right now. I stepped between them, but she smoothly moved around me. It's a fair question, Jamie. If you're going to be spending time in certain neighborhoods, I should know where my daughter is going. Marcus's expression hardened. The South Side. Born and raised. Ah. Mom nodded like he confirmed her worst suspicions. And tell me, have you explained to Jamie what that means? The kind of associations that come with that area? What the hell is wrong with you? I exploded, but Marcus put a gentle hand on my arm. It's okay, he said quietly, his eyes never leaving Mom's face. Mrs. Manning, I think there might be some misunderstandings here. I've never been in trouble with the law, I'm on academic scholarship, and I care about your daughter very much. Care about her? Mom laughed coldly. Is that what you call sneaking around behind my back? Using her car to ferry her to God knows where? Filling her head with ideas about defying her family? I never asked Jamie to lie to you, Marcus said firmly. That was her choice because she was afraid of exactly this reaction. Wrong answer. I could see Mom's fake composure cracking, that familiar rage building behind her eyes. Afraid? Of her own mother? Her voice was getting higher, more shrill. Let me tell you what she should be afraid of, young man. She should be afraid of throwing away her future for some summer fling with. With what? Marcus stepped forward, his own anger finally showing. Go ahead, Mrs. Manning. Finish that sentence. The air in the room felt electric, dangerous. Princess had stopped barking and was cowering under the coffee table, sensing the volatility. And that's when I realized Mom wasn't done playing games. Her hand moved toward her purse, where I knew she kept her phone. She was recording this. Recording Marcus losing his temper, getting footage she could use to paint him as aggressive, dangerous. Proof to justify everything she'd done. The trap was closing, and we'd walked right into it. I saw Mom's hand inch toward her purse and everything clicked into place. The sudden calmness, the calculated questions, the way she was baiting Marcus, she was trying to get him to lose his temper on camera. Marcus, I said urgently, grabbing his arm. We're leaving. Right now. But Mom was faster. Her phone was already out, positioned just right to catch Marcus's angry expression. Oh please, don't leave on my account, she said sweetly, thumb hovering over the record button. We were just getting to know each other. I'd love to hear more about your background. Marcus saw the phone and went very still. The kind of still that comes from a lifetime of knowing how quickly situations like this could go sideways for someone who looked like him. Jamie, he said quietly, never taking his eyes off Mom. Get your bag. How smart of you, Mom cooed, and I heard the subtle beep that meant she'd started recording. Teaching my daughter to run away from difficult conversations. Very mature. My hands were shaking with rage, but Marcus remained perfectly calm. He'd dealt with people like her before, people who saw his zip code and his skin color and made up their minds about who he was. Mrs. Manning, he said, his voice steady and respectful despite everything. I can see you're upset about Jamie not telling you about our relationship. That's between you and her. But I've been nothing but respectful to your daughter, and I'd appreciate the same courtesy. Respectful? Mom moved closer with the phone. Is it respectful to encourage her to lie? To sneak around? To use family resources for your dates? I could see exactly what she was doing, trying to get him to say something angry, something she could take out of context later. Paint him as manipulative or aggressive. I never encouraged Jamie to lie, Marcus replied calmly. And we split the cost of everything we do together. Always. How noble. And when she loses her job because she can't get to work? When her grades suffer because she can't get to class? Will you be splitting those costs too? That's when it hit me, she thought she'd won. The car was destroyed, I had no way to get around, and she figured that would be enough to end things with Marcus. The recording was just insurance, a way to make sure I never tried anything like today again. But she'd forgotten something important. Actually, I said, my voice cutting through her smug satisfaction, Marcus already offered to drive me to work and school until we figure out the car situation. The phone in her hand wavered slightly. She hadn't considered that. How convenient, she said, but I heard the uncertainty creeping in. And how long exactly do you think that arrangement will last? Weeks? Months? You think this boy wants to be your personal chauffeur? As long as she needs, Marcus said simply. That's what people do when they care about each other. Mom's mask slipped completely. Care about each other? You barely know each other. 8 months of sneaking around doesn't constitute a real relationship. It does when you spend that time actually talking, I shot back. When you learn about someone's dreams and fears and what makes them laugh. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Mom? When's the last time you asked me about my dreams instead of just assuming you knew what was best for me? Don't you dare. Mrs. Manning. Marcus's voice cut through her building tirade. I think we should go before this gets worse. But as we headed toward the door, Princess suddenly darted out from under the coffee table, straight toward Marcus. She'd always been drawn to calm energy, and right now he was the most peaceful person in the room. Mom lunged forward to grab her, the phone clattering to the floor. And that's when I saw a real opportunity for revenge. The phone lay there, screen cracked but still recording. Recording Mom's panicked grab for Princess, recording her saying things that would sound very different without context. I scooped up the phone while she was distracted with the dog. Looking for this? I held it up, thumb hovering over the delete button. The look of absolute terror that crossed her face was worth everything. The color drained completely from Mom's face as she stared at her phone in my hand, the red recording light still blinking mockingly. Jamie, give me my phone back right now, she said, her voice shaking as she clutched Princess protectively. Why? So you can edit this little home movie and show it to your book club friends. Maybe send it to the police to show how dangerous Marcus is. I scrolled through the recording, watching her face grow more panicked with each second. Funny thing about recordings, Mom. Context matters. Marcus stepped closer to me, finally understanding what had been happening. She was trying to set me up. Of course she was. I kept my thumb hovering over the screen. Just like she tried to frame some imaginary vandal for destroying our car. Everything's a lie with her when it doesn't go her way. That's not, I wasn't, Mom stammered, then seemed to find her footing again. Fine. Delete it. But that doesn't change anything. You still have no car, no way to get to work or school, and I am still your mother. Are you though? The words came out colder than I intended. Because mothers don't usually destroy their children's futures over their own prejudices. Princess whimpered and tried to squirm out of Mom's too tight grip. Even the dog could sense how unstable she was becoming. That's when my phone buzzed with another text from Sarah Chen, *, hi Jamie. The kids haven't stopped asking about Princess. We went ahead and bought supplies just in case. Dog bed, toys, premium food. We're ready whenever you are, *. I showed the message to Mom, watching her face go ashen. Look at that. They're still interested. You can't, she whispered. Jamie, she's all I have. She's all you have. My voice cracked with disbelief. What about me? I'm your daughter, and you threw me away the second I didn't fit into your perfect little picture. That's different. How is it different? I was shouting now, 8 months of walking on eggshells finally exploding. How is it different, Mom? Because I'm not a purebred with papers. Because I have my own thoughts and feelings instead of just sitting and staying on command. Marcus gently touched my arm. Jamie, maybe we should. No. I shook him off, all the rage and hurt pouring out at once. She wants to teach me about consequences. Fine. Let her learn what it feels like to lose something irreplaceable. I started typing a response to Sarah, my fingers flying over the screen, *, actually, would tonight work? Something came up and Princess needs, *. Stop. Mom lunged for my phone, Princess yelping as she was jostled. Please, Jamie, don't do this. We can work something out. Now you want to negotiate. I held my phone out of reach. After you destroyed our car. After you tried to manipulate Marcus. After you threw me out of the house. I was angry. I made mistakes. Tears were streaming down her face now, real ones, not the crocodile tears she usually deployed when she wanted sympathy. But Princess doesn't deserve to be punished for my mistakes. And I didn't deserve to be punished for falling in love with someone you deemed unacceptable. Marcus stepped between us, his voice calm but firm. This isn't going to fix anything, Jamie. Taking her dog won't undo what she did to the car. But it'll show her how it feels, I said, but even as I said it, I could hear how petty it sounded. It'll make you just like her, he said quietly. The words hit like a slap. I looked at Mom, sobbing over Princess, then at Marcus watching me with disappointed eyes, and felt something crack inside my chest. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was becoming exactly what I hated. But as I stood there, watching Mom cry over her dog while showing no remorse for destroying my future, I realized something else. Maybe I didn't care anymore. I stared at Marcus, his words echoing in my head. It'll make you just like her. Part of me wanted to listen to him, to be the bigger person and walk away. But another part, the part that had watched 8 months of savings get destroyed in 20 minutes of rage, wasn't ready to let this go. Maybe being like her is exactly what she'll understand, I said, finishing my text to Sarah. Tonight would be perfect. Can you come by around 8? The sooner the better, *. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. Jamie, please. I'll fix the car. I'll pay for everything myself, I'll take out a loan if I have to. With what job, Mom? You haven't worked in 15 years. I looked around our pristine living room, at the expensive furniture and designer everything. Oh wait, I forgot. You'll just manipulate Dad into paying for it when he gets back from his business trip, right? Just like you manipulate everyone else. Her face crumpled, but I pushed down the guilt. She'd made her choice this morning with that baseball bat. My phone buzzed with Sarah's response, * perfect. We'll be there at 8. The kids are over the moon, *. 8 o'clock, I announced. That gives you about 3 hours to really think about consequences, Mom. Marcus grabbed my arm. Jamie, stop. This is crazy. Crazy. I whirled on him. What's crazy is that you're defending her after she tried to record you losing your temper. What's crazy is that she destroyed our only way to get around and thinks a simple apology will fix everything. I'm not defending her, he said firmly. What she did was horrible. But this isn't who you are. How do you know who I am? The words came out harsher than I meant them to. Maybe this is exactly who I am when someone pushes me too far. Something shifted in his expression, surprise, maybe disappointment. It should have made me feel guilty, but instead it just made me angrier. Everyone wanted me to be reasonable, to turn the other cheek, to be the mature one while Mom got to throw her tantrums and face no real consequences. Fine, I said. If you can't handle seeing who I really am under pressure, maybe Mom was right about us not lasting. The hurt that flashed across his face was immediate and devastating. Even Mom stopped crying for a second, shocked by the viciousness in my tone. Jamie, Marcus said quietly, you don't mean that. But I was already turning away, heading for the stairs. I need to get Princess's things together for her new family. They want to make sure she has everything she needs. Don't you dare go upstairs with my dog. Mom shrieked, clutching Princess tighter. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, I called back. I'll show them the recording of you planning insurance fraud. And Marcus can tell them all about your little setup attempt. I heard her fumbling for her phone, my phone that I still had, then cursing when she realized. The landline then, probably. Let her call. By the time any cops sorted through this mess, Princess would already be in her new home. From upstairs, I could hear muffled arguing, Marcus trying to calm Mom down, Mom alternately sobbing and screaming. Princess barking in confusion. The whole house felt like it was vibrating with chaos. I sat on my bed, staring at Princess's adoption papers, and for the first time all day, I felt completely empty. Not angry, not vindictive, just hollow. Was this really who I wanted to be? The kind of person who destroyed someone else's world because they destroyed mine first. My phone rang. Sarah Chen, probably calling to confirm tonight. I stared at her name on the screen, finger hovering over the answer button. 3 hours until 8 o'clock. 3 hours to decide if I was really going through with this. I answered Sarah's call, trying to keep my voice steady despite the chaos downstairs. Hi Jamie. We're so excited about tonight. The kids have been setting up a little welcome area for Princess in the living room. They made her a welcome home sign and everything. The genuine joy in her voice made my stomach twist. These people had no idea they were walking into the middle of a family war. That's really sweet of them, I managed. Is everything still okay for 8? You sound a little stressed. Before I could answer, there was a crash from downstairs, something breaking, followed by Mom screaming at Marcus to get out of her house. Princess's barking got more frantic. I'm sorry, what was that noise? Sarah asked, concerned. Just family stuff. Look, Sarah, I need to be completely honest with you about something. My bedroom door burst open. Mom stood there, wild-eyed and clutching the landline phone, with Marcus right behind her looking grim. I've got 911 on the line, Mom announced breathlessly. I'm reporting a theft in progress. Mom, you can't be serious. Watch me. She lifted the phone to her mouth. Yes, hello. My daughter is trying to steal my dog. She's arranged for strangers to come take her tonight. Sarah, I said quickly into my phone, I'm going to have to call you back. Jamie, is everything alright? Should we maybe wait until tomorrow? I don't know, I said honestly. I'll call you back in an hour, okay? I hung up and faced Mom, who was now explaining to the 911 dispatcher that her mentally unstable daughter was having some kind of breakdown. Marcus stepped forward, gently taking the phone from her hands. Ma'am, this is a civil matter between family members, he said calmly to the dispatcher. No one's in immediate danger. Thank you for your time. He hung up, and Mom immediately lunged for the phone again. Give me that. I want them to arrest her. Mrs. Manning, they're not going to arrest anyone for a family dispute over pet custody, Marcus said, holding the phone out of reach. Especially when Jamie's name is on the registration too. I don't care. She's trying to destroy my life. Like you destroyed mine this morning. I shot back, but the words felt automatic now, empty of the rage that had been fueling me. Marcus looked between us, then sat heavily on my desk chair. This is insane. You're both acting insane. Don't you dare, Mom started, but he cut her off. No, Mrs. Manning. I'm done being polite while you two try to destroy each other. His voice was tired, disappointed. Jamie, you're talking about giving away a dog that woman has loved for 8 years to hurt her. And ma'am, you destroyed your daughter's car with a baseball bat because you don't approve of me. Do you both hear how crazy this sounds? The room went quiet except for Princess's continued whimpering. She'd somehow gotten loose during the chaos and was now cowering under my bed, completely traumatized. 8 years, Marcus continued, looking at me. That dog has been part of your family for 8 years. And you, Mrs. Manning, that car represented months of your daughter's hard work and independence. You both destroyed something irreplaceable out of spite. Mom sank onto my bed, suddenly looking older than her 53 years. She was going to leave me anyway, she whispered. With him. I could see it happening. So you made sure it would happen faster? Marcus asked gently. The accusation hung in the air, and I realized he might be right. Maybe Mom had been so afraid of losing me that she'd sabotaged everything, creating the exact scenario she'd been trying to prevent. But that didn't change what she'd done to our car. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, *Jamie, we're worried about you. Call us back when you can. We'll wait to hear from you before coming over, *. 7 o'clock. 1 hour left to decide. I stared at Sarah's text, the words blurring as exhaustion hit me like a wave. 1 hour. In 1 hour, I'd either be handing over Princess to a family of strangers, or I'd be backing down from the biggest power play of my life. Jamie? Marcus's voice was gentle, but I could hear the concern underneath. What are you thinking? Before I could answer, my phone started ringing. Not Sarah this time, Dad. Calling from whatever hotel he was staying at during his business trip, probably because Mom had managed to get through to him with her version of today's events. I almost didn't answer. Almost let it go to voicemail so I could deal with this mess without his long-distance judgment. But something made me pick up. Hey Dad. Jamie, sweetheart, what's going on? Your mother called me crying, something about you giving away Princess. I could picture him perfectly, sitting on some generic hotel bed in his wrinkled suit, rubbing his temples the way he always did when dealing with female drama, as he called it. Always the mediator, never taking sides, which somehow made everything worse. Did she mention the part where she destroyed our car with a baseball bat? I asked. A long pause. She said there was an incident with the car, but... An incident? I laughed bitterly. Dad, she completely totaled it. Slashed the tires, smashed the windows, spray-painted liar across the hood. All because she found out I have a boyfriend. Another pause, longer this time. Jamie, your mother wouldn't. Ask Marcus. He's standing right here looking at the wreckage in our driveway. I heard Dad sigh heavily, that familiar sound of a man who'd spent 25 years married to someone increasingly unhinged and was only now realizing how far she'd gone. Put your mother on the phone, he said finally. Mom, who'd been listening to every word, practically snatched the phone from my hands. David? Thank God. She's completely lost her mind, she's trying to give Princess to strangers out of pure spite. But whatever Dad said made her voice change completely. The righteous indignation drained away, replaced by defensive backpedaling. It wasn't that bad. I was protecting our daughter. You don't understand what this boy represents. Marcus and I exchanged glances as Mom's voice got smaller and smaller. Whatever Dad was saying, it wasn't backing up her story. Fine, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Fine, I'll fix it. But I can't undo what I already did. She handed the phone back to me, looking defeated for the first time all day. Jamie? Dad's voice was tired, sad. I'm catching the first flight home tomorrow morning. We're going to sort this out as a family. There might not be anything left to sort out by then, I said, watching the clock tick closer to 8. Princess will be here when I get home, Dad said firmly. And so will you. Both of you need to step back from whatever this is before you say things you can't take back. Too late for that, I thought, remembering the look on Marcus's face when I'd thrown his feelings back at him. After Dad hung up, the three of us sat in awful silence. Princess had finally stopped whimpering, but she was still hiding under my bed. Smart dog. Jamie, Mom said quietly, what if I sign the car title over to you completely? Make it legally yours. I blinked at her. What? The insurance will call it a total loss anyway. But if it's in your name only, you can file the claim yourself. Use the money however you want, fix it, buy something else, whatever. It was the first reasonable thing she'd said all day. But it was also too little, too late. My phone buzzed. Sarah again, asterisk, we're getting ready to head over. Kids are so excited. See you at 8, asterisk. 45 minutes. The war was about to reach its final battle. I stared at Sarah's text, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. 45 minutes to either destroy my relationship with my mother forever or find some way back from this cliff we both jumped off. Jamie. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. I know you hate me right now. I know what I did was unforgivable. But please don't punish Princess for my mistakes. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time all day. The perfect makeup was gone, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Her designer blouse was wrinkled and stained. She looked broken in a way I'd never seen before. Do you have any idea how it felt? I asked. Seeing our car like that? Knowing you cared more about your reputation than my future. I was terrified, she admitted, her voice cracking. You're my baby, and I could see you pulling away from me. Growing up, making your own choices. And when I saw you with him, I realized I was losing you completely. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Manning, with respect, Jamie was never yours to lose. She's her own person. Mom looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You're right. I've been treating her like a possession instead of a daughter. She turned back to me. I can't undo what I did to the car. But I can give you the freedom to fix it yourself. She pulled a folded paper from her pocket, the car title, with her signature already scrawled across the transfer line. It's yours, she said simply. Completely yours. The insurance money, whatever you want to do with it, your choice. I stared at the paper, not trusting it. And Marcus? A long pause. I don't have to like him. But I don't get to choose who you love. It wasn't exactly a warm welcome, but it was honest. More honest than she'd been about anything in months. Marcus squeezed my shoulder gently. What do you think? I looked under the bed where Princess was still hiding, then at my phone with Sarah's eager messages. A family who genuinely wanted to love a dog, who had no idea they were walking into someone else's revenge fantasy. I need to make a call, I said finally. I dialed Sarah's number, my heart pounding. Jamie. We're just grabbing the car keys. Sarah, I'm so sorry, but I can't go through with this tonight. A pause. Is everything okay? You sound upset. It's complicated family stuff. The situation with Princess, it's not what I thought it was. She needs to stay with her original family. I could hear the disappointment in Sarah's voice, and worse, her kids crying in the background when she explained. It broke my heart, but I knew it was the right choice. I understand, Sarah said kindly. Family is complicated. But if anything changes, I'll call you, I promised, knowing I never would. When I hung up, Mom was crying again, but quietly this time, holding Princess who had finally emerged from under the bed. Thank you, she whispered. Marcus put his arm around me. You did the right thing. Did I? I almost gave away someone's beloved pet because I was angry. That's pretty messed up. Almost, he emphasized. But you didn't. That's what matters. I looked at the car title in my hands, then at my mother holding her dog, then at the boy who'd somehow managed to love me even when I was at my worst. We're going to need some serious family therapy, I announced. Mom actually laughed through her tears. Probably several years' worth. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. Trust would have to be rebuilt brick by brick. But for the first time all day, it felt like maybe we could find our way back from the destruction we'd both caused. Outside, our demolished car sat in the driveway like a monument to the day we almost destroyed each other. Tomorrow, we'd start cleaning up the wreckage.